The U.S. government has long viewed the Chinese company as an espionage threat and has sought to keep Huawei from playing a major role on the U.S. telecommunications infrastructure market. This new move is likely to prevent it from supplying the equipment being used to set up cutting-edge 5G networks. Donald Trump's decision has come at a key moment in negotiations with the Chinese government about future trade relations between the countries.
We're having a little squabble with China because we've been treated very unfairly for many, many decades, for actually a long time. And it should have been handled a long time ago, and it wasn't, and we'll handle it now. I think it's going to turn out extremely well. We're in a very strong position. We are the piggy bank that everybody likes to take advantage of or take from, and we can't let that happen anymore.
The executive order makes it easier for the U.S. government to directly regulate foreign telecoms, which could theoretically exploit backdoors in systems to pose a threat to communications and national security. In addition, the U.S. has placed Huawei and 70 associated companies on a blacklist. Firms on it have to be granted licenses from the U.S. Commerce Department to use components made by U.S. firms in their technology. The restrictions will come into force in the next few days.
Let's pick apart this intriguing story with Aaron Tilton from our business desk. Aaron, who's going to hurt most under this ban, do you reckon, on a corporate level, first of all?
Well, on a corporate level, I mean, this is clearly directed at Huawei. Even if the government isn't saying that, Huawei has long been in the sights of the Trump administration and even the U.S. government in general. I mean, the first concerns about spying were brought up in 2012, so this is a long time coming. Now, the U.S. isn't necessarily the biggest market and destination for Huawei technology, but the distributed nature of supply chains really means that if the government has to approve all transactions with Huawei, this could actually cause chaos throughout their supply chain. And they do have suppliers who are within the United States, and that could, of course, have knock-on effects throughout the rest of the world as well. But you also have to remember, a lot of rural companies, internet service providers, are dependent upon Huawei technology for creating the next generation of mobile phone networks, because Huawei really produces the cheapest routers and switches out there. And if they can't buy them from Huawei, that could mean we could see a huge delay in the rollout of 5G throughout the United States.
So what would that mean for the consumer who's waiting for the next generation of high-speed downloads? Does it mean waiting a couple more years?
Well, it could mean waiting a couple more years. It could also just, not happen, at least not in the short term. I mean, look, we've talked about that here in Germany time and time again. Germany's had a huge problem when it comes to rolling out the successive generations of mobile technology. And, we could potentially see a similar situation developing in the United States.
But this is all an economic emergency, as Trump puts it. Would this ban actually ensure safer networks?
Well, that is kind of the big question, because really, right now, we don't know what type of evidence the United States has. It's still under lock and key, supposedly based on certain court documents. Through some espionage efforts of their own, they were able to determine that there's a more close relationship between Chinese spies and Huawei than the U.S. government is actually comfortable with. But that's only an inferral. We haven't actually seen the evidence.
Yeah, I mean, the CEO of the company was a military technologist. That sounds scary, but at the same time, he's not going to want to put backdoors in his equipment when he wants his company to be successful globally.
Well, you're right, and he has said as much. He said it would be basically a suicide for the company to do that. However, Huawei has been accused of being rather sloppy when it comes to their supply chain management in general, and that is part of the concern of many telecoms here in Europe. Basically, they're saying there are so many kind of parts that don't really work together, where they don't really know exactly how they're connected, so that could create vulnerabilities in the network that hackers could actually quite easily use, and also governmental hackers as well.
Exactly. Aaron Tilton, thank you very much for coming in, and thank you for the analysis.
Thank you.